TV. Oh, we get NSC Fan TV. I'm here with Drew after the 1-0 win against Montreal. Or how do you say it?
Montreal. if we're going to say it properly.
That's exactly it. I'm going to say it how I like because, you know, Quebecois can do what they need to do. Okay. So we saw a lot of things in the game. Let's start by talking about the goal.
Well, so Zimmerman. He doesn't get Defender of the Year for no reason.
Yeah.
I mean...
Right. And so, goal scorer and game-saving tackle. Right. So let's start with
let's start with the goal. Okay, not just Zimmerman, the man, the myth, the legend, but also the goal scorer. Yeah. I mean, is that his first goal this season?
That's his first goal this season.
I think because he was out on the injury, right?
Yeah.
That wasn't fun. Comes back, is back in his starting position. Before we had Ani Baba.
We had Ani Baba
in the middle most of the time. Then we had Mayer and Miller flanking him generally.
That's right.
Before when we were playing the four in the back, we would have Lovitz on the left and we'd have Johnson generally on the right. I think now that we've solidified the three flat across the back, which as Emma I think mentioned, right, they were playing a little too close to Willis at times,
that's how you play on the road. I think that they're not going to let speedsters get behind us.
Okay.
They're going to do a hard impression of a tortoise.
Some offside trapping would be nice though. We haven't even got to the goal.
Let's talk about the goal. Let's talk about the goal. Let's talk about some of the defense.
Nice.
Yeah.
But I think Zimmerman, I was really impressed by his play today. I mean, before I had been critical, right, because he would come up for things and he wouldn't track back. And as a central defender, you need to be coming back. I mean, but he knows he's good in the air.
And that goal was clearly something that they had practiced 300 times on a pitch sometime in June here in Nashville. There was some point in time where he and Hani Mokhtar was like, okay, you stand there, I'm going to stand here. I'm going to practice lofting it up, and you're going to practice jamming it into the goal with your head.
Yeah,
we're going to do that 300 times here on June 23rd or something like that.
And that's typically just the palm stick too. It's
true.
Really aerial prowess.
Yeah.
Goals. I think I'm glad to see it from Zimmerman though, and especially with him staying back.
Well, then
aside from the set pieces,
just on the set pieces he was forward, but he didn't do a lot of hanging around afterwards. And so
no, he came right back.
I'm really pleased to see that. And so let's talk about the game the goal saving tackle.
The goal-saving tackle. So first you had Willis, that was crazy.
Yeah, that was a good
keeping
save.
Another clean sheet.
Yeah.
But what caused that? I think that was a bit of a defensive glitch by
Was it Anunga?
I think it was Anunga. I think it was Anunga who lost the ball. He dug it out.
Yeah.
Then he lost
Gave it away.
Yeah. Gave it away. Which, if you're gonna dig it out, I think at least try to do something with that. Dug it out, gave it away. They got onto it, and closed into the center.
That's right.
And then at that point, Willis had to go down for a save. He couldn't land on it, so he just got pushed out. And then I think it was Mikhailovich who came in with that.
Yeah, and he's such a silky player.
Yeah,
of all of their players, I think that Payet is a great player. But I think that Mihailovic.
I think it's Mikhailovich. I'm not sure.
He's a really skilled, insightful player. But a diver.
He is a diver. Whoa, we gotta mention that. That should have been a yellow for simulation in my book. Because
play kept going and the ref forgot. Like there was 5 more minutes of play around, and the ref was like, I don't feel yellowy right now.
I thought he had dribbled into Zimmerman at first. Like you had been mentioning.
Yeah, I thought.
But
no. And Romney had pulled up and didn't even make contact with him.
Yeah, none at all. But then but Willis gets the yellow for time wasting.
Yeah.
But if we're gonna be consistent, I think you got to give the yellow for simulation.
For simulation, too. I think that's right. Okay, so we've got Zimmerman. We got Zimmerman and some excellent play from him tonight. The goal, the goal saving tackle, a lot of really well-oiled defense
and
there.
even at times where we had been going on for several minutes, he would go down for a tackle, and if things didn't go his way on the challenge, he'd be right back up and running back into position. So I think he's recovered well from that injury.
I agree.
I mean, he's back to playing full 90.
and running full tilt.
And running full tilt, full 90, had the captain's armband on in lieu of Jax.
That's right.
Which, I mean, there are things to say about that fight. Not for here.
Well, maybe it's worth it. So we'll come back to the McCarty fight in the previous game.
Okay.
Now that we've got like some distance between us and that game, we can maybe think a little bit more about like whether or not that was an appropriate response to that offense on the drop ball. But another question. Okay. So we touched on it whenever talking about the Zimmerman goal-saving tackle, but it was a Nunga's play. So he was getting a lot of plaudits from the commentators. I thought that he had a pretty positive game, but you have some criticism.
No, I don't think that was his greatest game. I think that was one of his worst games maybe that I've seen. For one, the yellow was not good. I think that was weird. I don't think he needed to do any of that. If he was going to do it, it should have been a lot sooner.
Should have been at the midfield.
If you're going to pull some kind of, it should have been. If you're going to foul someone like that, it should be a tactical foul. Yeah. I hate to pull a Pep Guardiola. Yeah. Right, where I think, just if you got to do it to win, do it. But it's maybe unsportsmanlike. But if you're going to do it, it needs to be back so that you don't give them a free kick as close to the box as it ended up being.
In his defense,
okay,
I don't think that he grabbed the shirt. I think that he was I think that he only had his hand on his shoulder.
Okay.
And I think that and I think that he just ran squarely into Zimmerman, but because Anunga had his hand on his shoulder,
it got called.
Got the foul called, and the yellow because he did have his hand on him and it looked like a shirt pull. But I don't think that the replay showed that he had a shirt.
You know what?
I'm on your side about the fact that getting the yellow is dangerous, especially given the role that he was playing on that field.
Without McCarty too.
Without McCarty, and given his history, and he may be out for being out given yellows now.
I think at this point he's had 5, and I think and then too he's a big tackler. I mean, when it comes to big challenges, he is not.
He needs to lay the lumber. He needs to lay the lumber. And if he's on a yellow, that's a problem.
He can't do that anymore, and I think that's a great tool in his arsenal. I mean,
and so he had to pull back on that.
Yeah.
So there was one other person that you want to talk about, another element to this game you want to talk about. You want to talk about Ake Lova.
Number 72. I'll say his name. Ake Lova. I mean, that's.
I think that was a positive. What, maybe 18, 19 minutes?
Yeah. I mean, I do ask really when he's going to get to starting. When he'll be comfortable enough, right, with the composition of the team and his role to just outright start.
And you know what? Maybe I'll admit something about myself. Maybe the reason why I'm so frustrated with him is that I'm just not seeing enough. You know what I mean? Where it's like, look, if we saw 90 minutes and like we saw this for 90 minutes, it would be a problem.
It would be.
But you know what? Like you have 20 minutes. It's like, well, that's like long enough for you to get warm. Maybe.
Yeah.
And so maybe there's a problem with it just being not enough time, and maybe if he got to play a full half or something like that, maybe.
And enough time under pressure too. I mean, it's one thing to be like on the training grounds with the guys, right, and then you're playing for this long, but then out in the game, right, I think it's just a whole different thing. So I think giving him more time. At first, I want to say that was Gary Smith's goal because he would come on for 5. Then next he'd come on for 10. Then 20. Maybe you can bring him on at the half and see what happens.
Yeah.
But.
So I got one other sub that we didn't talk about. Emma and I talked about a couple subs, but I wanted to talk about Alex Muyl.
Alex Muyl
came on and he ran for 10 minutes straight.
He did.
He ran for 10 minutes straight.
Yeah.
I think that was a wise choice because it did change the lineup in the front. Sapong came off, Muyl came on, and Mukhtar wasn't have to drop quite as far back, and Muyl got to play that role that Mukhtar was playing, which was sort of in front of the midfield, dropping in,
but not quite up there with like Sapong and Rios.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, it wasn't having to run in the front quite as much, and so a little bit more of a defensive posture. But you put on exactly the person to play that role. It's like, look, if you're like, I need someone to run hard for 10 minutes.
Just get on your bike. At any opportunity you can, get on your bike and go.
You are just going to run.
I don't care. Just going to play one over and just run at it. And then I don't care what you do with possession after.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Create chaos for them.
Create chaos. Just make them get back.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one more thing though. Ake Lova.
Yeah.
I
Max
do
Lobo.
think when it came to first touches and settling the ball, I think he's gotten better than he was when he first came on.
Yeah.
And we had been saying, right, some people had said, oh, was there a problem with language because, right, Spanish to English, but no amount of language training helps you settle the ball.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Right. It's like if English helps you settle the ball better, then England would be.
England would be a lot. Yeah.
So, but you know what? Maybe one of the things that we've seen here is that when he's given chances, he is able to have positive play. We've seen some flashes of brilliance from him. Look, I can see why they got him.
I can see why.
The question is whether or not it was worth it. I can see why they did it. I can see the motivation. I can see the upside. The question is whether or not he's going to consistently provide that. And whether or not we can give him the balls that he needs.
And especially I was going to say with Gary Smith ball, typically speaking, you go from the back and go forward.
Yeah.
And is
he going to be consistently getting the balls that he needs? Because it looks like, given his touch, it needs to be slow and to his feet.
It needs to be. He can't do any crazy stuff where you send long balls through. It's just
maybe more confidence. Maybe something will be different. Yeah. But I have one other last thing to say, which is that we've got three designated players. They're all forwards, and I'm really concerned about our midfield. I'm really concerned about creative play from our midfield. When McCarty comes out, we just don't. I mean, look, I think that Lagros is a good player. I think that Godoy is a good player. I think Brian Anoga's a good player.
Anoga's a good player. Yeah.
But they're not showing the right now. They are not showing the magic.
They're not showing the amount of creativity in the midfield without McCarty makes the game a scramble. I mean, you had mentioned that in talking with Emma.
Yeah.
It turns the game into a scramble. I mean, when you don't have people to clean things up, and then now we've got a playmaker who's actually got his head up.
Stop and take a breath.
He's actually looking at who's where on the pitch,
something.
Right? Yeah.
What generally happens is they dig the ball out and they'll look for the next pass.
You just pass it off, and then there's guys closing in on him, and now you've given it away. And that was a Nunga's problem.
There was a Nunga's problem.
Especially in the first half.
Yeah. So I think if I were to be looking for a new designated player for us, and I don't know when that's going to happen, but if we are going to be using our designated players for forwards, I think that right now it's not working out. We need to be looking for a designated player who's going to be a creative midfielder, because McCarty's time with us is limited, and our options after him are not on that level with his creativity. With the defense, there. With even the control and being able to sort of play support roles, it's all there. In terms of being able to distribute the ball and be able to be a field general, not there. And so either those folks need to go to soccer college or whatever.
They need to get their football IQ to go up, because at this point that's the thing I always praise McCarty for, is his football IQ is so high. I mean, he typically knows what to do in any given circumstance.
That's right.
I mean, but also he's looking up to see what's happening.
Yeah, he's not caught with his eyes on the ball a lot.
Yeah, and a parallel for that, Rapinoe. If you look at Rapinoe and how she plays, she's always looking to see who are targets for later, right? And who's where at what time.
Knows where everybody is. Yeah. Okay, well, you done?
Well, we won, so we won. Happy.
Were we doing a lot of complaining?
I was just complaining for
10
minutes.
So this is one of these sort of great ironies about some of these games, which is whenever you've got consistently good play, you're looking for how it could be better, or you're worried about later on, and it turns into this weird complaining fest. Hey, we won!
We won, though.
What's up with the negativity? And a second road win.
Second road win, and I mean
against a good team.
Yeah.
So and on top of that, I mean, hopefully some of the other competitors were lost. I mean, that was the other part that we were trying to keep track of.
NYCFC and Orlando
was down.
And Orlando.
And Orlando lost. Yeah. So okay. Okay, so anything we've made it on a positive.
Now we've a little bit of catharsis. We let it all out. Shake it off.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
All right. We good?
I'm good.
All right. NSC Fan TV. See you next time.